talk about rest, I sleep when I'm dead. Motherfucker wanna come through tripping. Listen, I'm a ribbit, I'm a kung fu kick. Tell them I'm ready. If you want it, you can get it.
Welcome everybody to TruExact Show. I'm here with Brian, Chris, and our special guest. You've seen him on WPix 11, SNY. Heard him on WFAN. Marc Malusis. What's up, man?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Awesome. You've probably been on the network before on one of the shows with our friend Nick. You were on like the Sharp Bets show we used to do a couple years ago.
Yes.
So Nick had you on, and I am the TruExact, aka Scott. So he was part of the network, and we always want to get you on the actual show. So appreciate you coming on, man. I know it's been a couple years since that show, and we've been messaging back and forth. So I just want to say I really appreciate that. No,
you got it, Scott. Anytime. How you guys doing? You guys doing well?
Yeah, as well as we can be in a frigid, cold New Jersey area. So, Mark, really quick before we get into some questions and going over some sports, just we like to get some background of our guests, especially with people who work on WFAN and SNY, people who grew up watching and listening to our whole lives. So how'd you get started into radio and then eventually ending up where you are now, WFAN, SNY, et cetera?
Yeah, it's kind of, I grew up a huge fan of Mike and Chris, and I went to Syracuse. I was not in, I was in speech communication, visual and performing arts. I was not in their broadcast journalism department or Newhouse, but worked at those student radio stations up there, WJPZ, Z89, and WAER. And then after school and during school, I took a number of different internships, whether it be MTV, WABC, WFAN. Just this is something I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to be on air, but I also wanted to be on air in New York, and have done a number of different things, worked really, really hard to get where I'm at right now, which, being the lead sports anchor at WPIX, on TV 5 nights a week. I'm doing work on the weekends on WFAN. I just got involved in a startup, Better Sports Network, which I do a show with Keith Arizari from MLB Network, NHL Network. We do a show 10 to noon, Monday through Friday on Better Sports Network. So do a number of different things. But how did I get here? Just like everybody else. I mean, a lot of hard work, being easy to work with, learning from mistakes, and just kind of making sure my eye was always on what I wanted to try and do. I never wanted to leave New York. I grew up, my mom was from Brooklyn. My dad was from Manhattan. I grew up in Rockland County. I was born in Jackson Heights, Queens. Grew up fans of the majority of the New York teams in this area, and always wanted to kind of follow my passion, my dream of what I loved, which was listening to sports talk radio. Always wanted to have the opportunity to do a day part on WFAN, was afforded that opportunity for a couple of years. And now I'm doing TV. So SNY came about where they were looking for somebody to do debates at night. I was doing overnights at WFAN at the time. After I transitioned, I worked for Mike and Chris for 6.5, 7 years. I was their board op and then producer. And so, got a tryout and then got offered a job to do that Monday through Friday in 2008, and was at SNY for 15 years. So for 14 and a half years. So it was really, that opportunity is great, but, done a number of different things. I've done traffic. I've worked at Sirius Satellite Radio for the NFL channel. I've done some stuff on, updates on the Mad Dog channel, got an opportunity to kind of crack in at WFAN after I took a part-time job. I interned there summer of 98. This is a long roundabout story. I interned there.
Awesome. I'm waiting. I just can't wait to ask you about the MTV shenanigans, but go on.
Yeah, I interned there summer of 98 at FAN. And right after I graduated school, I got offered a job. And I decided to go work for a local radio station in Rockland County. Got that opportunity because I had been working stock at Sears as a part job. And
rest in peace, Sears.
Well, that's exactly right. So my mom had been working there. Someone that she was working with, her husband, Gene Googig, or Gene Edwards, he went by Gene Edwards on the air, owned a radio station, 1300 Memory Lane. It was a 500-watt radio station in Rockland County. Got a job there out of school, making $7 an hour as a news and sports director. work split shifts. I did 5 to 10 in the morning, and then I come back and do 3 to 7 at night. I did that Monday through Friday. That afforded me to get a sports show on Sundays. It was very, very local oriented, but enabled me to get on the air. I did that for about a year and a half before I called FAN and asked for an opportunity to see if they were looking for any part-time people. Interviewed with Eric Spitz and Eddie Scazzeri. Promptly got offered a job to do overnights and board op and produce. Did that for about 8 months. They liked what I was doing. Got an opportunity to do a fill-in show to board op for Chris and Mike. They liked what my addition to the show, but my addition to the show was only there because Jerry Recco was going to leave to go do overnight updates with Joe Beningo. And
Right.
So that had opened the door there in March of 2001. And from that point forward, I think the following November was the first time I was on the air on WFAN where I did updates.
God damn. Excuse my language, but it's like you're the Samuel L. Jackson with the movie, like how many roles he's had. So like you just didn't say no, and that's what we got to do.
Well, that's the key in this industry, not to cut you, Chris, but that's the key is like I've never really I work a lot. My wife would probably say, and my dad would probably say that I'm a little bit of a workaholic. I don't turn down a lot of jobs because all experience is good experience. You never know who you're going to meet.
Yep.
You never know what that opportunity might lead to down the line, and you go from there. Like here at WPIX, I got afforded this opportunity because the sports director Todd Ehrlich I had done work with at CBS Local like 8 years ago on a March Madness digital show that was hosted at the time by Lisa Kearney, who then left for ESPN, and now she does work for FanDuel. And they liked what I did, and they were looking for a sports anchor. And I came in, I interviewed with the news director, and I got the job.
Nice. Wow. Just really quick, I'll get to Chris, but 1300 Memory Lane sounds like a Twilight Zone episode, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If Rod Sterling was still alive, like that's the way to go.
Well, that was it. It was all like 40s and 30s music and this and that. That's basically what it was. Now it's no longer Memory Lane because Gene unfortunately passed away. It's a radio station called WRCR. I think they used to do Rockland Boulder games, which is like an independent league baseball team.
I've been to some of those games.
Yeah, I've been to Rockland Boulder games as well. So I think they still have play-by-play. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it was a good opportunity to cut my teeth. There was really no pressure. I was able to go on the air. It was very, very local. Nice. And you weren't making a lot of money. And that's the other thing in this industry is you're cutting your teeth. Now it's a lot different because there's so many different opportunities. It's not just radio and TV. Now you have satellite radio. Now you have everything online. Now you have everything digital. You have the gambling networks getting involved. You have podcasts. You have so many different avenues to kind of grow your brand. When I got into the industry, it was really one of two ways. Either you're doing TV or you're doing radio, or if you're talented enough, you tried to do both.
Right. Go on, Chris. He's one of the youngins who needs this advice. Work hard, Chris. Work hard.
Work hard.
I'm trying. I do my own podcast, but I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of listeners right now. It's only been up for like a few weeks now. Like I'm trying to incorporate video into it. I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting though, which was a really cool experience.
Yeah, I taught there.
Yeah. Oh, you taught which campus?
I taught there at the Hasbrook Heights.
Oh, that closed. That one just closed down. I was going to go to that one. I had to go to Cherry Hill.
Yeah, I taught there. It's got to be 7 years ago now, maybe 7.5 years ago.
Yeah, but it was a really cool experience. They definitely taught me a lot, and I've been trying to get into like internships and stuff, but it's hard. It's definitely hard.
No, I get it, but it's a matter of getting your foot in the door and then taking advantage of that opportunity. I tell everyone, Chris, and I teach a class in communications. I'm an adjunct professor at Iona. And we just wrapped up our fall semester last Thursday. That number one, be easy to work with, listen to advice, understand, but always keep your mind on what you want to try and do. And if every year, Ian Eagle told me this a long time ago, if every year you're doing a little bit more than the year before, you're progressing in your career. No matter where you go, everybody rises different. Everyone's path is a little bit different. Nobody is the one and the same. Just because someone vaults forward doesn't necessarily they're going to be in that same spot 5-6 years down the line. So you got to just maintain to continue to work on your art form, work on what you want to be, what you want to do to build your brand. And Chris, you got so many more opportunities now to, whether it be the podcast, whether it be TikTok, whether it be Twitter, whether it be Twitter Spaces, Instagram, Insta Live, to continue to kind of get your voice and grow your brand. And believe me, people are watching. I mean, how many times you see somebody that's, putting stuff out there on the web? There's always, or up there on Twitter or Instagram, there's always decision makers that are looking for somebody that's got a fresh voice, fresh face, fresh kind of vision or viewpoint. So don't be down on it. Continue to work hard.
Exactly. That's why I shave and try to look as young as I possibly can.
Well, you have a baby face.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.
Scott does have a baby face. That's true.
Yeah. Yes, you do. Baby face. You don't look like you're in your 30s. You look like you was with the backwards cap. You look like you're about 25.
You know what? This is a great episode. What a phenomenal episode this is. No, so it's like what someone once said too. It might take 10 years to get to the one day that changes your life. You know what I mean? So just keep at it, and you never know who's watching. And you might only get 10 views on a show, Chris, 10 listens, but how many of your friends could get 10 people to listen to them for an hour? That's not easy to do. That's really not, to get 10 people in a room to listen to you.
And here's the other thing, like, I don't want to be like all preachy or anything, but
go for it, man.
You never know when the opportunity is going to come around. So always try and be prepared and continue to work on it. Like we do like little sessions in the class that I teach where, I'll throw a topic out and give them 2 minutes to kind of to formulate an opinion and give me a take on it. Whether it be, hey, is Mike White the franchise quarterback for the Jets? What do you do with Zach Wilson? Because, it kind of trains your mind, especially in sports talk. And I'm not necessarily saying that it always has to be one hot take after another, but those are the kind of things that you need to do as a talk show host to make sure that you're sharp and ready for the opportunity when it comes along.
Yeah. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's it.
Yeah.
There you go. We stay ready.
That's like me and Brian keep a pocket of wraps in case we ever have to battle someone on the street, right, Brian?
All the time.
All the time. All right, Mark, I want to ask you, because you went over how much you had to work, how cutthroat it is, how every year someone, is trying to take your job, essentially. Someone graduated and they want your spot. Was there ever a time you were just working nonstop and you thought, this isn't going to happen? I just want to quit and get out of it? Because I hear that a lot in the entertainment.
Yeah, there were times. I mean, listen, there are times. I remember there was a time where there was a snowstorm and my boss, who I won't name, told me that you have to be here in the morning. And I was coming off something, doing a shift at SNY at night. And I wasn't going to drive all the way back home to Stanford. And I basically slept in my car for like 5 hours because I had a 6 o'clock show the next morning. And yeah, when you're going through, when you're going in your 20s and 30s and you're working, I worked 7 days a week for 2.5 years with not really many days. I really didn't take much time off at all. And I was just grinding away. And it can wear on you. It just does. When your friends are out there, this. I mean, when your friends are out there and they're enjoying themselves and, they have weekends off and they're like, hey, we're going to the Jersey Shore, or we're going out to Long Island, or, hey, we're going to take go to the Yankee game or the Met game, whatever it might be. And you're like, no, I have work.
Yeah.
There are times where you say, I know a lot of guys that got involved that I went to Syracuse with that were really, really talented, that got out of the industry, that do pharmaceutical sales, or they do real estate. Not saying that they're not successful, just didn't want to do it anymore. And you got to know what this industry is before you get involved and go into it with eyes wide open and know that it's the rare outlier that gets that golden opportunity right from the word go. Success is paved with a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat equity, and it can be an absolute grind at times. So were there times where I never thought I wasn't, good enough to do it. I thought it was a case of when is that opportunity finally going to happen? And I didn't want to be one that was chasing it for my entire life.
Well, did you put a cap on age-wise? Like, if I don't get to it by so-and-so, I'm out? Or did you just ignore year after year? Like,
yeah, there was probably, I mean, after I got married, and I got married July of 2008, I've got 3 boys. Jackson's 9. Gregory is just turned 6. Paul is 7, right? So I've got a 9, 7, and 6-year-old at home. When I don't want to be an absentee father. So there comes a point in time, once my wife, Donna, and I, we decided to start a family and go down that journey. It's significantly different when you're single, and you have an apartment or wherever you might be living, where you don't have the responsibility and you're just worried about selfishly yourself, or worried about
you could sleep in a car in a snowstorm.
Right, correct, right.
Yeah.
Like
If you have to.
Yeah, right. If I have to, right. If something happens to me, it's just me. Like, I don't have sons, right? I don't have a wife. Like, it's just different. That changes your entire perspective on life and everything. Did I put a cap on it age-wise? Probably not. I guess I just put a cap on it to where I'm saying, okay, well, where's the next step? Like, it came a point where I was producing Chris and Mike. I wanted to go on air. I got afforded the opportunity. Evan Roberts at that time was doing 3 overnights a week.
Yeah.
And he left to go do middays at the Fan. So it opened up the spot to do overnights on WFAN. I was producing Chris and Mike at the time, and I got offered that job. And so January of 2007, I left to go do that job. And it was great. I was doing Monday mornings. I was doing Friday mornings. I was doing Sunday mornings. It was great to a point where my wife then, right after we got married, like 2 years later, she's like, I'm going to everything by myself. You're not available Sunday nights. You're not available Saturday nights because you have to go to work. Like,
right.
My boss at the time, Mark Chernoff, and I said, listen, Mark, like, I can't do this. I'd love to do it. It's not that case. I don't want to do it. I can't do it. My marriage is going to fall apart. Like, I can't, like, do this Saturday. So he promptly took me off the Saturday overnights.
You put Tony Page on? Was that when he put did Tony Page take that?
No, Tony Page then, he did the majority. So Tony was a weird thing. I did the Monday mornings and Friday mornings. Tony did Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? And then he did Friday nights. And then he might have then taken the Saturday night into Sunday morning. You're right. You might be right about that.
Yeah.
So did I put it? No, I just wanted to make sure that I was growing. That was the whole point. I never put a cap on it age-wise. When I started to have a family, responsibility and kind of perspective does change, though.
I will say, I remember you on the overnight, the divisional round game. The Giants played the Cowboys in the 2008 January year, and you predicted the Cowboys would win, and I never forgave you for that because we lost. But anyway, I digress. Yeah, no, it's fine.
I was really playing up. I was like, get the popcorn out.
Yep.
All that.
I remember.
Yeah.
Don't. That's why I've been waiting for this moment for 14 years to have you.
I got it. That was as you will not have a better. You will not have a better run than the Giants had that postseason. All 3 games on the road. Tampa, Dallas, Green Bay, and then beating the Patriots out in Glendale.
Also, I remember effect. Yeah. I also remember you in 2011 when the Cowboys played the Giants, Week 17, and Romo came back from a broken hand. You also predicted the Cowboys would win Week 17.
I did.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware.
I did. You're 100% right. I was filling in for Mike that week. I was doing afternoon drive that week. Yeah. And I remember at the end of the broadcast, Papa and Carl Banks was like, "Oh, I hope Malusis is on Monday because he's gonna have some crow to eat." So yeah, I know, because here's
You're
the
not
one
gonna
thing.
Get every game right. All right, relax, Scott.
About Giant fans at that time,
they're the worst.
Eli, no, they're not the worst. Like they're not. But the Eli love effect, like the walking around can't spell elite without Eli. Eli is going to be a Hall of Famer, this and that. Like, and I understand Super Bowl in 2007. He won a Super Bowl in 2011. But we could also have the understanding Eli was not a great regular season quarterback.
He wasn't. Listen, I've lost friends over this shit at bars. Ask Brian. I used to get into this nonstop, but it is what it is. He'll make the Hall of Fame. Would I put him in? No. Whatever. I don't get a vote. Anyway, I'll give it to Brian. Go on, man.
Good thing you don't get a vote. I want to go back to what Mark was saying earlier about just the grind of the entire process of of getting to where you want to be. I feel like a lot of people have a very skewed view of people that are on TV, people that are in movies, entertainment. They seem to think that it's something, oh, you just show up and you're just on TV. And then, you go home after that and you get a nice fat paycheck and you sit around until the next time you got to be on TV again. And it's the furthest thing from that. People like you are extremely hard workers and you do so much to prepare for what you're doing to go into your show. Or if somebody was doing a movie or even musicians, there's so much work that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize it. And they think it's a lot easier than it is. And I also wanted to ask you this specific. I know we got into things in the past, but specifically, what was one challenge that you encountered that you said, maybe I don't know if I can do this?
Yeah, play-by-play.
Oh shit!
Like play was one where, and I had people be like, "Oh, why don't you try play-by-play? You have a good voice, or the sports and everything like that." It just wasn't a passion for me, and I think to be great, I think it's hard. Number one, I tried to do. There was a couple times I got called. Chris Carlin at the time was doing fill-in play-by-play for Bucknell football. And there was a guy named Doug Birdsong. He might still be doing play-by-play now. I haven't spoken to him in years, but we're going back like 13, 14, maybe 15 years ago. And Chris couldn't do it. And Doug called me and was like, hey, do you want to do a little Bucknell play-by-play football-wise? And I went into it and I tried it and I was okay. But I left that booth where it's like I don't really have an interest in doing play-by-play, which is fine. And it just, that takes an unbelievable amount of hard work. Yeah. You have to be really, really good and really be able to think on your feet. Like doing hockey play-by-play, I tried doing that in college a little bit for the Syracuse Crunch. They were, an AHL affiliate at one point in time, I think, for the Vancouver Canucks. So I tried that, sat in the stands and tried to do a little NHL play-by-play or AHL play-by-play. Not great. I did some women's basketball at Syracuse. Not great. It just wasn't something I was passionate about.
Were you not good at it? Like, did you rewatch it or you didn't like it? You know what I mean?
Probably a little comedy. It probably was. I wasn't confident in doing it. Okay. Number one, I didn't have a lot of practice doing it. I didn't sit there in the stands like you hear a number of broadcasters, Howie Rose and others talk about the fact when they're growing up, they'd sit in the stands and have the tape recorder and then go back and listen to it. I never I loved sports talk radio growing up. Like I would be on the bus listening to Mike and Chris. And I would, I went to Don Bosco Prep in Ramsey, New Jersey. I remember I had like my Walkman in my bag sitting there. It was like a 45-minute ride back to Rockland County because I didn't grow up in Jersey. And I'd sit there and I want to hear what they were saying at 2 o'clock, 2:15, 2:30 when I got out of school. I put the headphones on and I dreamed of doing sports talk radio. Like that was kind of my passion and why I got involved in this industry and the way and the style and fashion in which they went about doing it. Because I don't think everyone's a little bit different. I don't think you'll have a better tandem ever than what Chris and Mike were on the air. Not saying that there are others that aren't successful. Of course they are. It's just that they set the tone for the entire medium. So if I dedicated myself, do I think I could do play-by-play? Probably. I just didn't really have the passion to do that.
You probably have to study so much for that because you have to know every single player, and it's probably much harder in hockey too.
Oh, hockey, I think. I give credit to any. I tried doing a Syracuse Crunch game. It was.
Did you just, I would have just left in the middle of the second.
Oh, it's so. Like,
especially the last names in hockey, like you're not really getting a whole lot of Smiths. You're getting a lot of like Russian, like
right. Got Croatian, Russian, Swedish, Finnish. I mean, you're getting all kinds of, and so you can get caught up on. But I give credit guys like Bob Wischusen. Wischusen does, jet football. He does college football. I think he does college basketball, and he also does NHL hockey. I mean, he does it all, and he's really, really good at what he does. Just like, Ian Eagle is great at doing football and college basketball and the NBA, and you see them all over the place. But anybody that picks up and does NHL games, growing up listening to Sam Rosen, doing Ranger games and everything. Like those, the men and women that do NHL play-by-play is just, I give them, it's so hard. Describing the action, being on top of it, understanding who's on the ice. I mean, you've got to be so sharp.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hold on, quick question. Who do you think was better for the NHL, Sam Rosen or Doc Emrick?
Well, I think Doc was, because Sam's more of a local guy.
Yeah.
Like I love Sam. Like I remember when the Rangers won the Cup in '94 and sit at my dad's house in Rockland County, and we'd always go before every playoff game. When it was a big Ranger playoff game, we'd always go to this place called Rick's Club American, right? And it was right by Rockland Lake, and they used to have great ribs, right? So, and I think they're still open now. So we'd always order ribs, bring it back home, and watch the Rangers playoff game. And Sam Rosen was great. It's a power play goal, like all that stuff. Like Sam is great. Now Doc is just a legend. They're both legends for completely different reasons. Doc, I think, could call basically two rats running down the hallway and make it exciting. Like that, he's just got an unbelievable way of going about doing it. And they're both unbelievably nice guys if you ever had the privilege of meeting them. But I'd probably say Doc. I think it was a sad day for the NHL when Doc decided to call it a career.
Well, you know what? If your team's ever in the Stanley Cup, like the Penguins have been, my team, 3 years in the last 11, one back-to-back, you can listen to them. So, get to the Stanley Cup. I mean, you got nothing to worry about. That's what I think.
The last time they lost to the Kings, the last time they were there, they haven't won a cup since '94.
Yeah,
I'm hoping
the year they lost to the Devils in the Eastern Conference Finals, that was the year they were going to win if they made it.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I always compare Doc to like the Gus Johnson of hockey. Like I feel like them two are very similar. Like Gus Johnson with like in the NFL or college basketball, exciting. He can do anything. And Doc was kind of like that with hockey play-by-play. I always felt.
Yeah, and Gus is like instant, like energy. Like you could be downright exhausted. Yes. You could be on like 4 hours of sleep. You flip on a game and Gus Johnson's doing, all of a sudden you're riveted.
You
like
can YouTube
feel the energy through the TV.
Just YouTube Gus Johnson calls and it'll be entertainment for 20 minutes.
Oh my, great! Gus doing college basketball NCAA tournament is the best.
What do you think of guys like the Mannings doing like Monday Night Football? Do you think that'll take over more?
It's a great question. I think it's fun. I don't think people are as into it this year as they were last year. Yeah, and been other casts. Pat McAfee had a cast for college football, right? He did that a little bit. For Amazon Prime, my kids are a huge favorite. Who are those guys down at? They went to Texas A&M. Oh. They watch their YouTube videos. They do a number of trick shots. Who are those guys? Dude Perfect. Yes, thank you. Dude Perfect. So my boys are big fans of Dude Perfect, and I watched a little bit of their cast during on a couple of occasions on the Thursday night game. I don't think it takes it over. I don't. I'm there. Listen, I want to watch the football game. If it's a good game, I want to watch the game. I don't need to hear stories from whoever it might be, former player or see a former politician or anything like that. Like I'm there. I don't need to be entertained at that stage because the game is supposed to be entertainment. Now, if it's a terrible football game, and we've had a lot of bad night games this year in the National Football League, I get why you'd flip it over. I think Peyton and Eli are great. The business model that they've built, I think they're entertaining. Do I watch that every single week? I don't. I think Buck and Aikman are fantastic doing Monday Night Football.
I agree with that.
I love the Men cast personally. Like I watch that religiously. I just think it's really cool to see. I feel like I'm understanding how they see the game while I watch them talk. Because like Peyton Manning is one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Let's be real. And Eli Manning is a 2-time Super Bowl champion. Not as good as Peyton.
No shit.
Yeah,
I would have had to kick you off if you just said that.
I don't know. I have some choices.
Just don't.
Both, but, and I don't know. I just feel like I'm getting into their mind of like 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and they're like, 2, and they're saying how just how they're breaking down the game. Like you hear Eli say something that's like, I was like, oh, you better watch 56 coming up. And then 56 will come right up, and then he'll blast whoever's being the quarterback. And then you hear Peyton talk about, you should have looked at that check down first, just seeing how he reads progressions, everything about it. Like, to me as a fan, it gives me a whole different perspective on football.
Romo trumps both of them.
Romo is very good, but I feel like Romo's more of like a play caller. Like, he knows what's coming. Like he has those moments too, but I feel like he's more of like, but I've seen enough film. I know exactly what's about to happen here.
Yeah, I'm with Moose though. Like, I'd rather just watch the game. I don't need to hear you talking. Like, just like, because if you said something that I get annoyed if my team's losing, like, I want you to shut up. Like, I'll just yell at the TV. Like, no shit, asshole, shut up. Like, and then my wife's like, why are you getting so upset? They can't hear you.
Yeah, I enjoy, and like, you see the amount of money that these analysts and play-by-play guys are making, and it's unbelievable amount, and God bless them, it's fantastic. But I don't watch a game just for the analysts.
No, I agree.
I don't. Tony Romo's great, but if it's a terrible game, I'm gonna watch it. Like, you look at it, Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson. I know Brock Purdy is and they're very good at what they do, and they're the number one team, and great for them on Fox. And they're and I love Burkhardt, but that was a terrible football game.
Yeah, you're turning that off. It don't matter.
35, right? I mean, that's a bad game. There's not much to watch there. There's not much to analyze there. The game was decided by halftime, so I'm there for the game. Even though I loved guys like Pat Summerall and John Madden, and those guys were legendary. Nobody's ever going to have the impact that Madden did, because Madden brought everybody in, because he was like the every guy's guy. Made watching football fun and simplified a lot of things, and didn't make it out to be that you had to be, trying to kind of, he didn't talk over you. He spoke with you. And that's what made Madden so special.
Now, Moose, I'm going to give you a little history of me as a Cowboy fan. My worst loss I can remember versus you guys was 2005 on a Monday night when we had Drew Bledsoe, and the Cowboys had the Ring of Honor night, and we were up 13-0 with about 3.5 minutes left. And I think Mark Brunell hit Santana Moss on 2 consecutive plays to win 14-13 after Jose Cortez missed the fucking field goal. And that to me still stings. I think later on in that year, you guys beat the living hell out of us in Washington, like 38-7, and won the division with Mark Brunell. The Giants won the division that year, maybe in 05.
Was that the year that
they lost to Carolina?
When did Romo take over?
Romo took over in the middle of 06. You guys won. You guys had. Yeah,
and that was a Monday night game against the Giants, right? He took over at halftime, right?
Yeah, he threw an interception on his first play.
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, I want to know what the worst loss is you as a fan you could still remember as a Skin or Commander fan. That's still like, ugh.
Oh, so, I mean, the worst loss that I had was I had the opportunity. We had a family member that had Giant tickets growing up. So I used to go to Giant games. I went to Giant Washington games every single year, which was awesome and fun. And went to a number of other games when the Giants had LT and Sims, and it was great at the old Giant Stadium. I was at the NFC Championship game where Washington lost 17-0. In the wind, had no chance. Jay Schrader at quarterback. No adjustment. It was just a dominant performance. Giants end up obviously winning the Super Bowl that year, and Sims was nearly perfect in that game. But that NFC Championship game at Giant Stadium, I was there. That was 10, 11 years old at the time. But it was probably one of my worst losses. The other thing is, I remember the morning of the Super Bowl between Washington and Buffalo. Okay. And my dad was a Giant fan, and my dad's like a football fan, but he's not like one of these like kind of outrageous like sports fans. He loves the Rangers. Like, that's probably his number one passion. Like, he loves watching Ranger hockey, and he's probably locked into Rangers and Devils right now. But I remember the morning of the Super Bowl between the Bills and Washington, after the Bills had lost the previous year on Norwood, wide right against the Giants down in Tampa, Super Bowl 26, and getting into a huge fight that morning because my dad was like, the Bills are going to win today. Jeez. And I was like, I was like, what? Oh, they're not going to win. And we were having like bacon and eggs in the morning. I'm like, they're not going to win. And we got into like a huge argument. I go, no, Washington's going to win. He's like, and then he ended up apologizing later on. He's like, I'm just busting your chops that, we're rooting for Washington today. But like those kind of moments, it was just kind of fun at that time, like going through that. But my worst loss as a Washington fan was probably that NFC Championship.
Yankees fan. Mine's still 2001 to this day. What about you?
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing even close. Like there's actually nothing even close.
No. And like I was at that time, I was still working with Chris and Mike and had an opportunity to go to a lot of those games. I went to a lot of Yankees and a lot of Yankee playoff games at the time because those were the years that you wanted to go to. So yeah, I think the Arizona game, because of the fact of, the home runs that you saw, the Tino home run, the fact that, everything that the city had been through at the time, and you just thought that the Yankees were going to win that series. And unfortunately, they did not. I still don't understand why Brocious didn't turn 2 out in Arizona and step on third and throw over to first. That still makes no sense to me.
I just blame Jay Watasic for no reason.
Oh,
it's just an easy scapegoat. He had nothing to do with it, but it might as well at this point.
Yeah, 2000 was a bad one.
Fingers.
I think
97, the Sandy Alomar home run.
Yeah, that was a tough one. 95 too was tough. That was tough, but whatever.
5 was tough for a lot of different reasons because it was Mattingly.
Yeah.
It was. You thought it was going to be a time where like I would do anything for Mattingly to win a World Series. Like I really would. Like I love
Romo with a Super Bowl.
Yeah, like I would do anything for Mattingly to win a World Series. I mean, not anything.
Well, we could go off air and discuss what we would do.
Yeah, and that was crushing because then the Yankees, like the thing that adds insult to injury is then the Yankees win in 96.
I know.
7 win in 98, 99, and 2000, and Mattingly's not there.
Yeah. I know it's devastating.
I kind of feel so bad from Don Mattingly's perspective. It's like he was probably thinking to himself, like, I couldn't have played one more. Like,
it's absolutely horrible, but it is what it is. Sometimes it's just,
for so long.
It's just not in the cards, I guess. Sometimes, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Super Bowl this year?
What's up?
Are your Cowboys going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Absolutely
Definitely not.
I will say this.
How are you can I ask you, how exactly were you in a death vice grip with the Houston Texans who were like, they celebrate
it's the NFL and anything could happen.
Exactly.
You took them too lightly. You took them too lightly.
Listen, Moose, if we would have said last year at this time that the Cincinnati Bengals will be in the Super Bowl, we all would have been laughed off the air, correct?
That's true.
Anything could happen. I saw Nick Foles win a freaking Super Bowl. So, like, I don't say my team can never win it. I am a strict believer in just get in and see what happens. After week 1, I thought the season was over, and Cooper Rush saved the damn season. So maybe this is the year. Out of all these years, it takes things like that.
I feel like the Cowboys, though, are just the Cowboys are just a team that always seems to do something wrong. And
I know that, but it has to change.
Stephen A's bit, but like, just wait for it. Just wait.
I know that, but like to say, do I think they will? I don't know. This is the best defense I've seen them have since the mid '90s.
I have a question. Is this Cowboys team better than when Dak and Zeke were rookies?
Their defense is yes.
What was that? 2015.
They haven't had a defense this good since I could remember as a kid.
But what team do you think you felt more confident? Did you feel more confident with that team or this team you did?
Because I've never had a defense as a Cowboy fan until like this year. Their defense stunk with Romo. Like with Moose, you were in the division. Their defense was horrible. The Cowboys' defense in like the mid 2000s, late 2010, 2011.
No, not great. You got a great defense now.
Yeah, but you know what? It is what it is. I'm just enjoying the ride. I don't know what could happen. I'm not going to get hyped up. And Brian could attest. Brian's been my friend a long time. Brian, do I not I deserve to see one? Do I not?
No, you don't. No, you don't. Nope. No, you don't.
It's the curse of Jimmy Johnson.
It's, you know what? I've seen a lot of titles. Some would say I'm a front runner. I'm a Kansas Jayhawk basketball fan. I'm a Pittsburgh Penguin hockey fan. I'm a Yankee
front
fan.
runner.
Wait. You grew up in Jersey and you're a Kansas Jayhawk Steeler Cowboy.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I'm a Kansas Jayhawk basketball fan. Pittsburgh
What
Penguins.
was the first year you remember college basketball? The Kansas
1994, Jock Vaughn. That's how I became a Kansas fan.
Jacques Vaughn, okay.
That's how I became a Kansas fan, yeah.
And you became a Penguin fan because of Yager and Lemieux?
Yager and Lemieux, 92, yeah. And I thought penguins were a cool animal. So I have backstories here. I got receipts, all right? I have third-grade journals with entries.
Yeah, but you became a bandwagon fan.
I'll tell you this.
You're still a bandwagon fan.
I'll tell you this. I've known Scott since 5th grade.
True.
Right.
I have only seen him in Cowboys attire. Everything else is questionable.
That is BS. Yankees.
I see him in Jayhawk stuff a lot.
You didn't know him in 5th grade.
No, but I'm just telling you, like, recently, I've seen him in a lot of Jayhawk
Yeah, because we just won the national championship.
Yeah, exactly.
Now's the time to learn.
Oh, wait, yeah. No, discounting that now.
What's up,
let me ask a question here.
Go on.
When did you guys give up on when did you reach a point where you're like, it's not going to work out as rappers?
Oh, well, we were still there. We still rap.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just joke around.
Oh,
We know them.
I think you said you were a retired rapper.
Oh, I'm joking around. We like, as far as superstardom, probably when we like turned 22, we were like, yeah, let's just do it as a hobby now. And if something happens. We actually stopped doing it for like 10 years though, because we had to it's like you said, how hard you had to work. But we didn't really do that. We were just like, fuck, it didn't happen. So we kind of stopped for 10 years and the pandemic happened and we kind of got back into it. And we've just been we've done like 20 videos in the past year, like music videos. So we've just been.
What do you think your top song is that you've done, top rap that you've done?
Oh, this is questionable, man. Brian's really good at melodies. Like Brian's really good at hooks. And I'm more, I guess you could say like boom bap rap, right, Brian? I don't know. Rufio?
Probably.
Rufio.
Nah, the best song we have is called Payback.
Payback, yeah.
Payback?
Yeah.
I'll send you some. Moose,
No, you better email. I want to listen to it tonight.
They're pretty good. As a third party, I think that they're pretty good.
Chris, I'll send you a check. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm just letting you know. I would tell you if you suck.
That was a ringing endorsement. As a third, they're pretty good.
Listen, man, we're nothing great, but we can do it. We do it.
I'll give you. I want to listen. I'm interested.
Absolutely. And I expect you to start. We'll give you an edited version. You can start your show with it if you on Sunday morning.
Listen, I would play it tomorrow on the Better Sports Network. I definitely would.
Yeah, show your guy. We'll send you an edited version. Really quick too. I do want to go into a little quick gun to your head thing. Now, it's like I'm going to give you two names and you pick one, but I didn't give like your typical Jeter or Bernie. I remembered certain players growing up from the Redskins Commanders and Yankees, and they're very obscure names. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Patrick Ramsey or Rex Grossman?
Grossman.
Okay. Tony Banks or Todd Collins?
Oh, Tony Banks.
Jason Campbell or Mark Brunell?
Oh, Brunell. I love Campbell at Auburn, but Brunell.
Fred Smoot or Laron Landry?
Oh, Fred Smoot.
Gotta go with Smoot. Here's a tough one. Darryl Green or John Riggins?
That's impossible.
You gotta pick one.
It's Riggins, because Riggins is why I became a Washington fan. But Darryl Green is legend. You could hop on YouTube right now, and there's a video of Darryl Green running Eric Dickerson down as Dickerson's flying down the left sideline. He comes from the opposite side of the field. Darryl Green was the fastest guy that I've ever seen. He's just as fast as what Tyreek Hill is now, but I mean, Riggo is Riggo. John Riggins is my favorite Washington player of all time.
As good as Darryl Green is, you had to sadly toss him in the trash. Remember that. All right, here's some Yankees for you. Yeah. Randy Choate or Tanyan Sturtz?
Oh my God. That's a terrible. Tanyan Sturtz.
All right, Kareem Garcia or Shelly Duncan?
Shelly Duncan. Shelly Duncan he looked like he was 45 years old.
He probably still looks the same.
Yeah. I'd give me Kareem Garcia.
Okay. Ricky Leday or Wilson Betterman?
Well, Ricky Leday, because he had the amazing mustache.
And also, he's the reason we got David Justice, I believe.
That is true.
Homer Bush or Andy Phillips?
Homer Bush.
Yeah, Homer's the man.
Just because of the name. It's a tremendous name.
Okay, Matt Noakes or Kevin Moss?
Oh, Moss. Because Moss had everyone thought he was going to be like Babe Ruth after he hit that 1 year in which he hit home runs. And Kevin Moss had the strangest batting stance that you'll ever see. It was almost like he was sitting on a chair.
Yeah.
Like Euclid? Or like
a little
Pools. He was like a video game, Chris. Like if you like,
a little bit more like Albert Pujols. It was the strangest stance. Like I remember me and my friends, we used to play wiffle ball, and we'd always like try and beat Kevin Moss's stance. It was always the odd, most uncomfortable stance ever.
I feel like that was like for my age, it was Pujols. Odd stance because he was like literally like a chair too. I feel like.
Yes, I'd agree with that. And the hands were high. Like there's only like Pujols is the only guy that could be successful with that stance.
All right, last one for the Yanks. Melito Perez or Pat Kelly?
Oh, Melito Perez.
Oh, he's the man. Yeah.
Well, he's the man. So much personality, you know, and plus he would basically, when he struck you out, he'd let you know it. Yeah, give me Melito Perez.
Now really quick.
Melito, but his brother Pasquale was the guy that had the more.
Yeah, his brother. Yeah. Really quick before I do this, because I didn't look these up. Dion was on the Redskins at one point, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Dion as a Yankee or Dion as a Redskin?
Dion is a Yankee.
You gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go to baseball.
Yeah, Dion is a Yankee. The inside the park home run. Dion is a Washington. Dion down in DC. He was just a money grab.
Right. All right. That's it for
punt return for a touchdown against Tampa.
That's it for me, Moose. But I'll pass along. I just want to get your prediction on each sport. We did this with Evan back in January, which is a year ago, right? Jesus Christ. All right. NBA champion. Who you got?
Boston.
NHL.
I'm going to stick. I think I said they were going to win it before the year. I'm going to stick with the Rangers.
Okay. Yes. You're going to be wrong on that one. NFL Super Bowl prediction.
Who wins in the NFL? I'm going to go Bengals.
Okay. That's an interesting one. And since we can't do MLB because it's too far away, give me the MLS champion this year coming up.
Oh, dude, I have no idea. And the Miami's got a team, right?
And they might get Messi. So if Miami gets Messi, there you go.
I have Miami. Why CFC is the defending champs.
After this World Cup performance, he ain't going to Miami. He's still got some juice in that.
All right, I'll pass it around. Last round table before I let you go. Moose, Chris, what you got? Anything?
Yeah, so at this point in time, me and you have some beef because our teams are going for the last wild card spot. I'm a Giants fan. You're a Commanders fan. And they're facing off this week on Sunday Night Football. Now, you guys are getting Chase Young back. I mean, we are what we are. We're a sinking ship right now. But what do you think is going to happen? Do you think that the Redskins sorry, edit that out.
Jeez. I mean, like, look at this young kid. Just
the blood's all beyond it.
For my whole life, they were the Redskins.
I know.
Commanders a terrible nickname too. Yeah. It's just terrible.
It really is.
Do you think that the Commanders are going to have enough juice in the tank with Taylor Heineke to propel them into the playoffs, or do you think that the Giants or a different team, maybe the Seahawks, are going to take that last spot?
No, I think the Seahawks. Why? I think Kenneth Walker was great that he was back at practice a little bit today. He was limited.
He's a great player.
He is. He was unbelievable last year at Michigan State, and they missed him this past week in losing to Carolina. By the way, I'm rooting for Carolina. I can't watch Tampa Bay any longer, so I'm rooting for Carolina to win the NFC South. It would be great to see Sam Darnold, and it'd be great.
Love that.
Mean, oh my God, it'd be amazing. I can't watch the Bucs anymore. I just can't. I can't watch Brady and Bowles and how pathetic the offense is. Do I think they have enough to beat the Giants on Sunday night? Yeah, I think it's a close game. The Giants are a 4.5-point dog on the road. I think it's going to be a one-score game in the fourth quarter and see which team makes a play. I think for the Giants, I think it'll be interesting to see if Adoree Jackson is back.
That would help us a lot.
Yeah, that would help a lot.
Bellinger's been playing though. He played this week. Didn't really do much.
Right, but he got hurt and left the game. He dealt with he got hit pretty hard. I forget by the player on Philadelphia, but got hit pretty hard and was never returned in the game. So having Bellinger back for the entire game. Let's see if Xavier McKinney had the pins removed from the broken fingers after the ATV accident down in Mexico. I was talking to some people. Maybe they decide to cast it up, and he decides to give it a go because they do miss the flexibility they have with him as a safety because he can move all around the field. I think the Giants can win the game. I've been more disappointed in Chase Young. I mean, really, the studs along that defensive line are really guys on the interior more than it has been in Chase Young. He was better at Ohio State than he's been in the National Football League. Could that change? For sure, it could change, but he's not been what Micah Parsons has been down at that.
Michael Parsons is a different breed.
He's a monster.
The thing that gets me with the Commanders. Yeah, the thing that gets me with the Commanders, though, is as soon as Carson Wentz goes down, Taylor Heineke goes back in, and it's like the entire team just says, yeah, this is the guy that we've wanted this whole time. Mm-hmm. This is the guy that's going to get us there. He's got the moxie. Like, he's got what I thought Baker Mayfield was going to have, like, when he was with the Browns. Like, he's got that factor in him where, like, the whole team's behind him. They all trust him. He's not the most talented quarterback in the league, but he just does enough to get the team to where it needs to be. And I love Taylor Heineke. Like, if he wasn't in my division, I would get his jersey. Like, he is he's amazing to me.
Right, but Washington knew what they had, and they decided to go get Carson Wentz. And I think the love affair that they have with Taylor Heineke, I think, says a lot about what Carson Wentz is as a leader too. Yeah. And here's the other thing: you go back 8 days to that game in which it ended up in a 20-all tie. The Giants had the lead late in the fourth quarter. They give up the 20-yard completion from Heineke to Curtis Samuel on the 4th and 4 play. But Taylor Heineke in that game, there were at least 2 or 3 footballs that he threw up that the Giants easily could have intercepted. So the question,
you could say both teams had chances to win that.
Right,
game.
But the question Sunday night is going to be: Is Heineke going to play a clean football game, and can the Giants take advantage of those opportunities? I'd agree. I think the winner of the game is going to the playoffs.
I think they're so evenly matched, as the tie shows.
Yeah,
like, I don't know. Taylor Heineke to me just has. I think he gives them that.
Would you trade Taylor Heineke right now for Daniel Jones?
Well, actually, I don't know because Taylor Heineke is
Washington fan. I'd make that trade. Give me Daniel Jones.
Taylor Heineke is great within the Commanders system. Like, I think he has a great rapport with Terry McLaurin. I think a lot of his guys trust him. I don't know if he would have that same impact on the Giants. Like, I think it's similar to like Nick Foles, where when he came in, like, everyone knew that he could do it. And maybe it's the same thing like what you said about Carson Wentz. Maybe he wasn't the leader that he needed to be. Maybe Nick Foles came in and played that role. I think Taylor Heineke might be great in the Commander system, but if he were to come over to the Giants, I don't know if they would respond the same way.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, I think Heineke has shown himself to be an NFL quarterback. I think there's what he can do, but I don't disagree with the chemistry with him on the field. The team does respond to him. I think that says a lot.
Yeah,
should be interesting. I mean, I don't care personally because I'm pretty much locked in the playoffs as a Cowboy.
To a first round exit. Yeah, you're locked in.
Not if we get Carolina. I mean, I'd be willing to fucking go down to Carolina and play them. But anyway, you never know. It's the NFL. Brian, anything?
Yes.
Go on.
First, I want to say this: Carson Wentz's career was destroyed the minute Nick Foles won that Super Bowl.
No, 100%.
My brother's an Eagle fan. He
He
agrees.
should have just quit the NFL at that point. He was done. I want to get your take on, I don't know how much of him you've seen, but what do you think about Kenny Pickett with what we've seen so far with the Steelers?
I think there's room to grow for him. I know the Steelers love him. I've heard that from a number of different people. Kim, we've talked about Kenny Pickett on the Sunday show on the Fan. She's talked about the fact that the Steelers as an organization love him. It doesn't bother me that he wears the gloves or anything like that. I think you've seen the lack of experience, and you're seeing the growth, and you're seeing the Steelers. I think they've got their quarterback. Now, is he going to be Ben Roethlisberger? Probably not. I mean, Roethlisberger was 6'5". He's not that guy. And, Roethlisberger also did age well, but also Big Ben, it took him a while to kind of become what he became in Pittsburgh as well. I think the Steelers have a playmaker in Pickett. I liked him at Pittsburgh. I think they clearly loved him in the draft and were ecstatic that they were able to draft him. So I think they found their quarterback. Watt is an unbelievable monster. And I'll tell you this, Mike Tomlin can coach my team any day of the week. He is an unbelievable head coach.
The best. Yeah, yes. One of the best without a doubt. All right.
Offensive coordinator, that's it.
Yes, that is true. You're right about that. But I like Pickens is going to be a monster.
looks like he's a 5-year veteran.
No doubt.
It's unbelievable how good.
And you saw that in the preseason as well, because sometimes you see guys flash in the preseason and then in the regular season they disappear. George Pickens, you saw him flash in the preseason making these ridiculous catches, and he's dealt with a little bit of a health, but it has continued. The only thing that stopped George Pickens was Mitch Trubisky. He was terrible.
That's true.
Trubisky is awful.
He's had a pretty sick highlight reel this year with the catches that he's been able to make.
It was every week. It's like every week almost.
Every week. Pickens is going to be great. Najee Harris has found himself once again. Yeah. They've done a job of drafting. The offensive line got a little ways to go, but I mean, when you have Minkah Fitzpatrick on the backside, anchor in that secondary, and TJ Watt, he's right there. I mean, the two best defensive players in terms of being game wreckers. And I know Aaron Donald, and people talk about Quinnen Williams, and there's guys on the interior that are unbelievable. If you're looking at edge rushers, the two best edge rushers in football are Watt in Pittsburgh and Parsons in Dallas.
Yeah. True.
I don't even think that's a debate at this point. Like, I think
I agree.
It's a good thing the Cowboys took Taco Charlton over TJ Watt. So,
oh my! Where is Taco right now?
I don't think he's in the NFL. I don't even know. I think he's on the Steelers. He might have ended up with the Steelers.
No, they don't even have an excuse because his last name is Watt. It runs in the family.
Yeah, I know. It's just whatever. Moose, really thanks. Really quick though, I know you're a wrestling fan. Would you? One more gun to your head. Would you rather win a ladder match or a steel cage match?
Oh, steel cage.
Okay, gotcha.
I'll
have more for you. I'll have more for you later.
No, next time you have me on, I want to talk some wrestling.
I'm not a big wrestler.
I'll come on with you. We'll talk wrestling.
We used to have a show on the network, Mark Side of Your Ring. Our friend Fred used to run it, but it just got like too much to handle all at once. But he used to talk wrestling every week, man. But if we ever do a show wrestling, I will have you and him on, and you guys can just banter for hours about it.
Guys, thanks for having me on. This was a blast tonight.